Okay, excellent. Hello out there in video land. Today we're continuing our reading and discussion of Hamlet, and we are beginning with Act 4, Scene 6, which I assume we're going to read the entire scene, and then we will stop the reading and have a discussion about that before going on. Is that right, Katrina?
Very short.
We've lost her.
We lost her. She'll be back. Sylvia, did you say something?
It's a very short scene.
Okay. Okay. And so do we want to go and read the next scene as well, or just stick to the plan of reading one scene? And let's see what Katrina had to say. She was going to say something.
No, we lost Jim.
What's going on here?
It's like playing musical chairs, Duncan.
Musical squares in this particular
Exactly.
case. Katrina is not quite back yet.
There, we got them both.
All right. Katrina, are you there?
While we're waiting, Duncan, can I just use this pause to ask, on Mondays, you're still looking at Joyce's biography, correct?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, because it's going to be hot as blue blazes here, so I'm not going anywhere.
No, I just want to make sure you don't move on to something else and I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's still Stanislaus, my brother's
Okay,
keeper.
right.
Yeah. Yep.
Was there a plan to move this to Mondays, or is that not going to happen?
Well, we had talked
the
about
Shakespeare
that.
thing. I think we would have to talk with the larger group, which I'm not sure it's, and find out if they want to, or whether we want to maintain this other.
Yeah.
So everybody will get a say so on that.
Sorry, Duncan, I dropped out there. My internet has just come back. What are you putting to the larger group?
Oh, whether after we finish My Brother's Keeper by Stanislaus, whether we want to do a Shakespeare play then as opposed to having the special Friday slot or not.
Okay.
We had talked about that much earlier. But, not everybody who goes to the Monday book club may be interested in doing Shakespeare. So I hope it's not my connection somehow, because Katrina and James have been dropping out. Katrina's now dropped out for the third time. I suggest that we just go ahead and begin the reading.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what happened. It's beyond my control.
Okay. So with that in mind, I will begin. So we're Act 4, Scene 6.
Why don't you read Horatio's part and I'll do the other little lines just to give us a bit of variety. Would you?
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
so you're Horatio.
So another room in the same. Enter Horatio and a servant. Horatio, what are they who would speak with me?
Seafaring men, sir, they say they've letters for you.
Let them come in. I do not know from what part of the world I should be greeted, if not from Lord Hamlet.
God bless you. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, enter sailors.
God bless you, sir.
Let him bless thee too.
I shall, sir, an't please him. There's a letter for you, sir. It came from the ambassador that was bound for England, if your name be Horatio, as I'm let to know it is.
Horatio, when thou shalt, this is the reading of the letter. The letter reads, actually, let me pass the torch to the next reader. So Sylvia, read the letter if you would, please.
Horatio, when thou shalt have overlooked this, give these fellows some means to the king, They have letters for him. Ere we were 2 days old at sea, a pirate of very warlike appointment gave us chase. Finding ourselves too slow of sail, we put on a compelled valor, and in the grapple I boarded them. On the instant, they got clear of our ship, so I alone became their prisoner. They have dealt with me like thieves of mercy, but they knew what they did. I am to do a good turn for them. Let the king have the letters I have sent, and repair thou to me with as much speed as thou wouldest fly death. I have words to speak in thine ear, will make thee dumb. Yet are they too much light for the bore of the matter. These good fellows will bring thee where I am. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern hold their course for England. Of them I have much to tell thee. Farewell. He that thou knowest, thine Hamlet. Come, I will give you way for these letters. And don't the speedier that you may direct me to him from whom you brought them.
Okay, so you're right. That was a very short act.
So,
So
who's the letter? Who's the letter from?
So the
Hamlet.
letter is from Hamlet to Horatio, explaining what's happened on the trip, on the sea voyage to England.
Okay, and did that actually happen? Or is
Yes.
that just the story that Hamlet wanted to tell Horatio for the moment?
I was wondering that as well.
Yeah, I have question marks about that. I have a feeling because my understanding is don't ask me where I got this understanding, by the way, because I don't know. Was that somehow Hamlet got a hold of the letter that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern had, which were basically arranging for Hamlet's death. And Hamlet opens the letters and rewrites them. So when Rosencrantz and Guildenstern gives them to the king in England, and the king in England opens it, it says something like, kill these two guys.
Yeah, I think that's right, Duncan. I have that explanation too from somewhere. It might be all the way back to my school days.
Can you repeat, Duncan, the last part, what you said about kill these two guys? Are you saying it's the king's letter?
It's Hamlet opens the letter that Claudius wrote to the king in England,
Right.
which is basically arranging for Hamlet either to be imprisoned or to be executed.
Right. Okay. Right.
Hamlet rewrites the letters.
Right.
And in the rewriting, he says, the messengers who bring you these letters are, for some reason, they need to be killed.
Right. That's correct. I misunderstood what you said earlier. It's for a future scene, but it indicates the hardening of Hamlet, that he would do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I believe I would take a little bit of offense if my father-in-law was sending a letter to another king to have me killed. I
Correct.
might harden a little myself.
Correct. But you could argue that it's possible that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were innocent of the message that they were carrying. And maybe they weren't. It's a little ambiguous. But Hamlet certainly goes after the two of them root and branch. I mean, he hasn't liked them almost from the start. But here he terminates with extreme prejudice, as the CIA would say.
There we go. Unfortunately, we had to terminate him with extreme prejudice.
Right.
Okay, but you're saying this will come out later in the play.
But I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about it now because it's the genesis, the roots of it are in the scene that we're looking at.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how much there is to say about this scene, except that for the audience, I'm wondering if there would be some excitement in this. Okay, you're getting a story here that there's a fight, the king's plans have gone awry because Hamlet's coming back. Okay, suspense, like what's going to happen next.
Well, and pirates.
Oh, I forgot that. Of course, pirates.
Pirates.
Yes, and not the pirates of Penzance either.
And embedded in this letter, it's aborted and blah, blah, blah. Embedded in this letter is, I have words to speak in thine ear will make thee dumb.
Right. Correct.
Okay. Okay, so this is the letter to Horatio. So there we got another, some sort of evilness being poured in the ear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he picks up on these little things about the ear, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a feeling that actually this ear thing comes up in a number of Shakespeare's plays, because of course, as a playwright and a master wordsmith, Shakespeare would be very well aware of how words can be used for evil purposes. Okay. Anybody else want to make any points about this? I take that silence as permission to move
No,
on.
yeah, but I'm just he signs himself Hamlet, which he that thou knowest thine, Hamlet. It's instead of saying sincerely, he says, he that thou knowest thine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suspect that much, yeah, I don't know how they would have done it in the old days. How would they ever establish that a letter after many months and who knows how many miles was actually from a particular person?
Mm.
But, that's just a minor point. Come, I will give you way for these letters and do it the speedier that you may direct me to him from whom you brought them. Okay, so Horatio is going to take the sailors with Hamlet's letters for Claudius. All right.
So how much time has passed then between scene 5 and scene 6? I mean, yeah. Has Hamlet been away for a while? You said, Duncan, did you just say months?
He said, ere we were 2 days at sea.
Okay.
So
it's only 2 days?
Well, at least, but we don't know how long he waited. We don't know how long he had to wait for the ship to leave. I can't remember if it was leaving right away. And Katrina, the other thing is he's then captured by these pirates, so there may have been some intervening time before he sort of sweet talked him into letting him take this letter and deliver it and so forth. So maybe some time has elapsed. It's not clear.
Yeah, it's not clear. Okay. I'm not the only one.
Mm.
Yeah, you're not the only one that doesn't understand the amount of time here. And then, and maybe someone who's already read the play, or maybe we just want to leave it in suspense. Did this actually happen?
I don't remember.
Okay. I don't remember.
I'm in suspense.
Okay, well, we better push on then. And and resolve the suspense. So
Yeah.
we're on Act 4, Scene 7. And who is going to read now?
Sylvia, are you done? Do you want me to pick it up, or did you want to read some more?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
You go on.
All right, the castle, scene 7, the castle. Enter King and Laertes. The king.
Okay, now hold on, Dave. Now, do we want you to be the king and perhaps Jim to be Laertes?
Yeah.
Jim,
Yeah.
Jim just checked. Oh, Jim's back. Hey, Jim,
Back. Hi, Dave.
you want to be do you want to be Laertes in this scene, and I'll be the king, and we'll kind of go back and forth?
Aye, Your Majesty.
Okay, sounds good. And then maybe Sylvia or Katrina could make a cameo as the messenger on the next page.
Yeah. Katrina, do you want to do that? Because you're next.
Sure. Oh, there's the messenger. Okay. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
good. All right. Now must your conscience my acquittance seal, and you must put me in your heart for friend. Sith you have heard, and with a knowing ear, that he which hath your noble father slain pursued my life.
Jim, are you
It
there?
well appears. But tell me, why you have proceeded not against these feats, so crimeful and so capital in nature, as by your safety, greatness, wisdom, all these things else, you mainly were stirred up.
Oh, for two special reasons, which may to you perhaps seem much unsinewed, but yet to me they're strong. The queen his mother lives almost by his looks, and for myself, my virtue or my plague, be it either which, she is so conjunctive to my life and soul that, as the star moves not but in his sphere, I could not but by her. The other motive, why to a public count I might not go, is the great love the general gender bear him, who dripping all his faults in their affection would, like to the spring that turneth wood to stone, convert his gyves to graces, so that my arrows too lightly timbered for so loud a wind would have reverted to my bow again, and not where I had aimed them.
And so have I a noble father lost, a sister driven into desperate terms, whose worth, if praises may go back again, stood challenger on mount of all the age for her perfections. But my revenge will come.
Break you not your steps for that. You must not think that we are made of stuff so flat and dull that we can let our beard be shook with danger and think it pastime. You shortly shall hear more. I loved your father, and we love ourselves. And that, I hope, will teach you to imagine. How? Now? What news?
Letters, my lord, from Hamlet. This to your majesty, this to the queen.
From Hamlet? Who brought them?
Sailors, my lord, they say. I saw them not. They were given me by Claudio. He received them of him that brought them. Laertes, you shall hear them. Oh, no, that's the king. Sorry.
Okay, good deal. Laertes, you shall hear them. Leave us. Reads, High and mighty, you shall know I am set naked on your kingdom. Tomorrow I shall beg leave to see your kingly eyes, when I shall, first asking your pardon thereunto, recount the occasion of my sudden and more strange return. Hamlet, what should this mean? Are all the rest come back, or is it some abuse and no such thing?
Know you the hand?
'Tis Hamlet's character. Naked? And in a postscript here he says, alone? Can you devise me?
I am lost in it, my lord. But let him come. It warms the very sickness in my heart that I shall live and tell him to his teeth, thou thus didst thou.
If it be so, Laertes, as how should it be so, how otherwise, will you be ruled by me?
Aye, my lord. So you will not o'errule me to a pace?
To thine own peace, if he be now returned, as checking at his voyage, and that he means no more to undertake it, I will work him to an exploit now ripe in my device, under the which he shall not choose but fall. And for his death no wind of blame shall breathe, but even his mother shall uncharge the practice, and call it accident.
My lord, I will be ruled, the rather if you could devise it so that I might be the organ.
It falls right. You have been talked of since your travel much, and that in Hamlet's hearing, for a quality wherein they say you shine. Your sum of parts did not together pluck such envy from him as did that one, and that in my regard of unworthiest siege.
What part is that, my lord?
A very riband in the cap of youth, yet needful too, for youth no less becomes the light and careless livery that it wears, than settled age his sables and his weeds, importing health and graveness. 2 months since there was a gentleman in Normandy I've seen myself and served against, the French, and they can well on horseback, but this gallant had witchcraft in it. He grew unto his seat, and to such wondrous doing brought his horse, as he had been incorporated and demi-natured with the brave beast. So far he topped my thought that I, in forgery of shapes and tricks, came short of what he did.
A Norman, was it?
A Norman.
Upon my life. Lamord.
The very same.
I know him well. He is the brooch indeed, and gem of all the nation.
He made a confession of you, and gave you such a masterly report for art and exercise in your defence, and for your rapier most especial, that he cried out 'twould be a sight indeed if one could match you. The scrimers of their nation, he swore, had neither motion, guard, nor eye if you opposed them. Sir, this report of his did Hamlet so envenom with his envy, that he could nothing but wish and beg your sudden coming o'er to play with you. Now, out of this.
What out of this, my lord?
Laertes, was your father dear to you? Or are you like the painting of Isora, a face without a heart?
I ask you this.
Not that I think you did not love your father, but I know that love is begun by time, and that I see in passages of proof time qualifies the spark and fire of it. There lives within the very flame of love a kind of wick or snuff that will abate it, and nothing is at a like goodness still, for goodness growing to a pleurisy dies in his own too much. That we would do, we should do, and when we would for this would changes, and hath abatements and delays as many as there are tongues, our hands, our accidents. And then this should is like a spendthrift sigh that hurts by easing. But to the quick of the ulcer, Hamlet comes back. What would you undertake to show yourself indeed your father's son more than in words?
To cut his throat in the church.
No place indeed should murder sanctuarize. Revenge should have no bounds, but good Laertes, will you do this? Keep close within your chamber. Hamlet return shall know you are come home. Will put on those shall praise your excellence, and set a double varnish on the fame the Frenchman gave you. Bring you in fine together, and wager on your heads, he being remiss, most generous and free from all contriving, will not peruse the foils, so that with ease or with a little shuffling, you may choose a sword unbaited, and in a passive practice, requite him for your father.
I'll do it, and for that purpose I'll anoint my sword. I bought an unction of a mountebank, so mortal, but that but dip a knife in it, where it draws blood, no cataplasm so rare, collected from all simples that have virtue. Under the moon can save the thing from death, that is but scratched withal. I'll touch my point with this contagion, that if I gall him slightly, it may be death.
Let's further think of this, weigh what convenience both of time and means may fit us to our shape. If this should fail, and that our drift look through our bad performance, 'twere better not essayed. Therefore this project should have a back or second that might hold if this did blast in proof. Soft. Let me see. We'll make a solemn wager on your cunnings. I have it. When in your motion you are hot and dry, as make your bouts more violent to that end, and that he calls for drink, I'll have prepared for him a chalice for the nonce. Whereupon, but sipping, if he by chance escape your venom stuck, our purpose may hold there. But stay, what noise? Sylvia, I think you're the only person left over to be the queen here.
One woe does tread upon another's heel. So fast they follow. Your sister's drowned, Leartes.
Drowned? Oh, where?
There is a willow grows askant the brook, that shows his hoar leaves in the glassy stream. Therewith fantastic garlands did she make of crowflowers, nettles, daisies, and long purples, that liberal shepherds give a gossamer name. But our cold maids do dead men's fingers call them. There on the pendant boughs her coronet weeds, clambering to hang, an envious sliver broke, when down her weedy trophies and herself fell into the weeping brook. Her clothes spread wide and mermaid-like while they bore her up, which times she chanted snatches of old lauds, as one incapable of her own distress, or like a creature native and endued upon that element. But long it could not be till her garments, heavy with their drink, pulled the poor wrench from her melodious lay to the muddy death.
Alas, then, she is drowned.
Drowned.
Too much of water hast thou, poor Ophelia, and therefore I forbid my tears. But yet, it is our trick, nature her custom holds. Let shame say what it will. When these are gone, the woman will be out. Adieu, my lord. I have a speech of fire that fain would blaze, but that this folly doubts it.
Let's follow, Gertrude. How much I had to do to calm his rage. Now I fear this will give it start again. Therefore, let's follow.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm-mm. There are lots here.
Mm.
But it's a very illuminating
Mhm.
scene, isn't it?
Mhm. It really brings apart the conniving nature of Claudius
Mm.
Correct.
Yeah.
and his ability to manipulate people.
Yes. Yes, it's quite true.
So we've the
And I think contrasted with Hamlet's, although he criticizes himself for it, his caution and his sober reflection on the horrible thing he has to do. Laertes says, I'd cut his throat in the church.
Mm.
Mhm.
I mean, that becomes complicated given Hamlet's refusal to kill the king when he thinks the king is confessing, because he feels that it would send the king to a happier place than he deserves to go. But Laertes doesn't think that through. He just, I cut his throat in the church, which is like an incredible taboo.
Oh yeah, good contrast. That's excellent.
Mhm.
Dave. What a
Mm.
good contrast that is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
but I also was interested in the king's reasons for not for not killing Hamlet. Is he saying that he loved his mother? He loved his mother, and then he was worried about the public really likes Hamlet was the other
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. Well, it's because the mother loves Hamlet.
Yeah, but was
Yeah.
he would
He loves
she
the mother Sylvia. You're right. I mean, this is, or he says he does. Again, how do you trust it? But yeah, that's what he
yeah,
says.
but he uses this word, I haven't looked it up. She's so conjunctive to my
Mhm.
soul.
Mhm. Mhm.
I just that as the star moves not, but in his sphere, I
Mhm.
could
Mhm.
I could not but by her. I just thought it was I don't know. Is he confessing that he loves her? I don't know.
Yeah, it takes him at least potentially beyond just being a cold-blooded power freak
Right.
who, killed Hamlet Sr. and then married the queen just for power.
Mm,
Maybe he has some real emotional investment in the queen.
mm,
And she does with him too, because if you recall last week when Laertes broke in, I think the scene was like the sea overflowing the beach or the river overflowing its banks. He has to tell her twice to let Laertes go because the queen, is restraining Laertes from getting at the king. So if this is love here, it's a reciprocal love.
mm.
Yeah, well, she was trying to protect him,
Yes,
meaning trying to protect the king from Laertes.
right.
Mhm.
And
Which
what did
actually makes it a lot more interesting. I
It
mean,
does. It gives I mean, it certainly makes it. It certainly gives it a sort of added dimension.
mhm,
These are not sort of pasteboard characters, are they?
Oh, right.
mhm.
Uh,
So that's the one reason. The one reason is that, he can't be seen killing Hamlet directly because it would alienate the queen from him, which is why he wanted basically Hamlet to go off to England so he could be killed in England and then he could make up a story
mm,
about how sad it was that Hamlet died and, all that kind of stuff. And so, but Hamlet was not killed in that regard. So now he's cooking up another plot and he's using Laertes as the instrument.
mhm.
mm,
But in both cases, he's trying to arrange things so Hamlet is dead, but Claudius, is not blamed for the death.
And I think the thing in this scene too is we it's a human failing probably, but we can't help but have admiration for these people who are cunning and scheming and manipulative. We may not like it, in general speaking, but you got to admire the guy's intelligence for this. And the two Americans here, like, forgive me for using this as an example, but Trump, like him or don't like him, anything like the press talks about him sucking all the oxygen out of a room, and the press is just there and they're watching this happen and they're going, how's this guy doing this? And with his
Yeah,
recent
yeah.
legal troubles, like, it would have sunk anybody else. Anybody else would have been to like negative digits in the polling. And this is just buoying him up because he's always he's always kind of working it so that it looks like he's the good guy and he's the persecuted person. And like I said, whether you like him or not, you can't help but admire his ability to turn any situation to his advantage.
I think that is, if I may say so, one of the reasons for that is America has a real thing about unrepentant narcissists who are so convinced of their own personal value or righteousness that they can always spring back from whatever accusations there must be. This is what makes him unique.
Right, but I think it's not just Americans. I would suspect that this is something that universally, humans have. It's you're scratching your head and you're going, look, I don't like this guy's policies. I don't like his morality. But how in the heck is he doing this? And you shake your head, and you got Amira's staying power.
Well,
Well, it's kind of scary as well.
It
Yeah.
is.
That's
It
it's
is.
very
Yeah.
scary.
It's
Yeah.
scary.
And this is what Shakespeare's, to bring it back to the play, this is what Shakespeare's looking at in this scene. In this
Right,
king,
right.
I
This
mean,
is
things are not looking good, but he's playing it. He's turning it to his advantage.
yeah. Well, then Claudius is doing this, and Laertes, Laertes is absolutely convinced, and is a man of action. And you can actually, I think, legitimately draw parallels between the larger political thing that's going on now, and there's going to be, I'll mention it when we get to it, that there is a part of one of the soliloquies that it's like, oh my God, he's really describing what's going on right now in the United States with a particular person. Well, but I'll bring it up when we get to it.
Hmm.
And then we have the differences between Claudius and Laertes, who are alike in the sense that they're both men of action, and Hamlet, who is, as I said, he's a very intelligent guy,
Mhm.
but his intelligence handicaps him when it comes to action, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Duncan, you said a few weeks ago you view Hamlet as a modern man.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons, and I'm wondering then if that would make Laertes a more traditional man. Like if something has happened, you get revenge right away. Like,
Mm.
and full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes. They didn't have
Yeah,
them there,
yeah.
of course, but
Is this not a Western?
Hmm.
Is this not a Western where Laertes is a quick draw artist who,
Yeah.
when he man's got to do what a man's got to do when he's got to
Right.
do it.
Yep.
Mhm.
And Claudius is an interesting character because Claudius is actually not as simple-minded as Laertes is.
Right.
He's a fox.
Hmm.
And he can harness that energy that Laertes got and direct it in a
Laertes
way
is
that works to his advantage.
is a convenient instrument.
Is.
But it is but it's interesting because, to repeat myself, Laertes is a fox, and he really understands the overall situation much better than Laertes does.
Well, Claudius, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said
Claudius.
Laertes is a fox. I think you meant Claudius. Yes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But
Yeah, Claudius is a fox.
but sorry, I'm just being a bit slow here. Is this the first time that Laertes has been given specific information that Hamlet killed his father? Or did he know before?
He came back. He came back. I think he came back knowing. Did he
Did
not?
he?
Oh, he comes
No,
in.
he thought it was
Yeah,
Claudius.
so that's right.
Oh, okay.
Because he comes in like the
Mhm.
river overflowing its banks and the sea bursting the shores, and he's ticked off with Claudius. And Claudius says, let's just calm down. Can we talk, apart? And I'll explain what's going on, and you'll see that I'm not to blame. But Sylvia, I don't think he says Hamlet was to blame. I don't think he publicly says that. So
But
in this scene, it must be. Sorry, go ahead.
But the Queen said it wasn't him, or
Correct.
the Queen said it wasn't him.
Correct.
So is he just setting her? He's almost, like you blood a dog. I just have this scene that poor old Laertes is being bloodied here, to go and kill.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay, but I think actually, and we can go back and read that part if we want to. I think that when Laertes comes in, he's upset about two things. His father's dead, and they don't know where the body is.
Yeah.
And and his death is being suppressed. And I don't think he comes in necessarily thinking that Claudius is responsible for the death. He's mad at Claudius because um, there's no record. They can't find a body. There's no public recognition of the death, and Laertes is just confused.
Mm,
That's my memory.
mm.
Okay. So
I
here's
think
a
they found the
question.
body. Can I just, on a sort of point of order here, can I just say,
Yeah.
I think they found the body because they had a funeral. I think if you go to Act 4, Scene 3, Hamlet says, God, where is it? I'm just looking here.
Yeah, I remember we had that discussion last week. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. So I think they do have the body, but Duncan, your other 2 points are, I think, smack on. Like, my dad's dead. Nothing seems to be done about it. And why was the funeral kind of hugger mugger held in secret?
Oh,
I mean, I'm
all
scrolling
right.
through scene.
Okay, so here it is. Here it is.
I've got it.
This is 4-3, line 35. Hamlet. If indeed you find him not within the month, you shall nose him out as you go up the stairs into the lobby. And the king says, "Go seek him," to some attendants. Go seek him there. And Hamlet says, essentially, he said, "I will stay till you come." He will he will
He will
wait till
stay.
you come.
He will stay
Yeah.
till you
He'll
come.
wait till you come. Yeah.
We're talking about, and he in this case is Polonius's dead
Correct.
body, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the king, the king knows that Hamlet. Well, I'm sure the queen told the king that Hamlet killed Polonius, so the king knows that. And
Yes.
then he goes on, Hamlet, this deed for thine especial safety, which we do tender as we dearly grieve for that which must be done, must send thee hence with fiery quickness. Therefore, prepare yourself. The bark is ready. So this actually, Hamlet's killing of Polonius, Claudius, once again, he takes an opportunity to fulfill his plan of sending Hamlet to England.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Right?
So
he
that's
very quickly uses what's happening elsewhere, Claudius I'm talking about, to fulfill a plan he's already made,
yeah.
which is to get Hamlet on the boat.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go a little. Okay, so Hamlet, blah 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 blah. I'm looking for where Laertes.
So Duncan, I hope I'm picking up your train of thought and not opening a new one.
Oh,
But the
go. Yeah, fine.
King says at line 149 in my book, "I am guiltless of your father's death, and am most sensibly in grief for it." And then, just before where we started today, skipping ahead to line 200, go apart, make choice of whom your wisest friends you will, and they shall bear judge twixt you and me. If by direct or collateral hand they find us touch, we will our kingdom give, our crown, our life, and all that we call ours to you in satisfaction.
Okay, so you have jumped to a different scene. What scene?
I actually I haven't. I'm still in scene. Oh God, no, I'm still in 4-5.
Okay.
So he says, it's where he says, "I am guiltless of your father's death" at line 149, and then starting at 200, it's where he says, like, pick your buddies, come talk to me, and if you find me in any way complicit in your dad's death, I'll give you everything.
Yeah, I'm looking for where Laertes enters.
Oh, like in the first, okay, good.
Unfortunately, my lines are not the same as your lines.
Are you doing a word search? Like, do you want a
No,
peculiar
no,
word?
no. I'm just scrolling through waiting for Laertes.
Okay. So it's I'm just looking. Like it's at line 110 in my book. Enter Laertes with others. The king says the
Okay,
doors are broke.
enter Laertes with others.
Have you got
That's
that? The doors are broke.
yeah. I remember
Okay.
that.
Where is this king, sirs? Stand you all without. Did you find that, Duncan?
Okay, I see. Okay, enter Laertes' arm. Danes following. Where's the king? Blah blah blah. Okay, where's the king? Sirs, stand you all without. No, and Laertes says, no, I thank you, keep the door. Oh, thou vile king, give me my father.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the king says, what is the cause, Laertes, that thy rebellion looks so giant-like? Let him go, Gertrude. Do not fear her person. There's such divinity doth head the king that treason can but peep to what it would, acts a little of his will. Tell me, Laertes, why art thou thus incensed? Let him go, Gertrude. Speak, man. Where's my father? Dead. Queen, but not by him. King,
Hmm.
let him demand his fill. How came he dead? I'll not be juggled with. To hell allegiance, vows to the blackest devil, conscience and grace to the profoundest pit. I dare damnation. To this point I stand, that both the worlds I give to negligence. Let come what comes, only I'll be revenged most thoroughly for my father. King, who shall stay you? Etc., etc. When someone pick up the Laertes part here, and I'll do the king's part.
Okay. Okay. So, my will, not all the worlds, and for my means, I'll husband them so well they shall go far with little.
Good Laertes, if you desire to know the certainty of your dear father's death, it's writ in your revenge. That swoop stake you will draw, both friend and foe, winner and loser.
None but his enemies.
Will you know them then?
To his good friends, thus wide I'll ope my arms, and like the life-rendering pelican, repaste them with my blood.
Why, now you speak like a good child and a true gentleman, that I am guiltless of your father's death, and am most sensibly in grief for it. It shall as level to your judgment pierce as day does to your eye. Okay,
Now, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
and then so that's the end of that conversation, and then we get the Ophelia thing coming in,
Yeah.
which is going to upset Laertes even more.
Hmm.
So Laertes does not never accuses the king of his father's death. In this part, he's just upset that his father is dead and that there's weird stuff going on, not the normal stuff of an
So, Duncan, is it
Mhm.
fair to say that although the accusation is not direct, the king feels that one has been made and therefore is obliged to say, I am guiltless of your father's death?
Hmm.
I think that I don't think an accusation has been made, but the king is, shall we say, sensible that he's on the suspect list.
Hmm.
Correct. You know, if your dad doesn't get the funeral rites he deserves, you're not going to come in, oh thou vile king. Like that's pretty strong language for okay, dad didn't get like quite the funeral that we want. There just seems to be more to it than that.
I will have to at least partially disagree with you.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Well, I mean, because I can see Laertes thinking that the king has acted vilely, by not openly recognizing his father's death and by giving his father all of the pomp and ceremony that the death of a trusted counselor should get.
Okay. Okay.
But,
But-
you know, it's an arguable point.
Hmm. But you know, there are layers of complexity here. You know, I get them. Polonius, you know, he didn't have any enemies. I don't think he didn't have any. There was no reason to kill this man, and he was just collateral damage, and he got caught. So you really need to get rid of this whole situation, and it also gave Claudius another wing to his scheme. I mean, this man, he's got so many schemes going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And layers, you know, I mean, this just shows you Shakespeare at his best, you know, with building on different layers of complexity here.
But maybe Hamlet thought it was the king that was behind the curtain, and he said, "Look, I'll do it now and
Oh yeah,
take,
yeah,
take my
that-
bare body." And
yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, and of
What-
course,
Laertes must have drummed up support to burst into the castle, because you don't just burst into a king's castle.
Yes.
Right.
That's right. He's got a lot of people with him, Jim. You're right.
Yeah,
He brought
yeah,
a
there
lot,
must
he
be
brought a lot
something.
of Danes with him.
Yeah,
So I think we can assume that, you know, the populace learn of Polonius's death, and they learn that it's kind of being hidden. It's kind of a Kate Middleton situation,
okay.
right? Where the populace gets upset because they don't think they're getting the real story. So they start making stuff up. And I think that's what's going on here. But, you know, the overall point is a good one. I mean, Shakespeare is allowing those who don't like complexity to keep the story on the simple side. And those who understand that the world is a complex place, he's allowing us enough fuel to have intricate discussions of all the psychological and political levels of all this stuff.
and poor old Laertes comes in, you know, bursts in, and his father's dead. And then in the middle of it all, this deranged woman turns up, you know, his sister.
Mhm.
You know, it really, you know, you can just imagine it on a human level, you know, what this
Right,
must have
right.
done to the poor guy.
Right. And I don't think Laertes is a very sophisticated fellow. I think he's on the man of action versus the man of thought continuum. Laertes is much more over in the man of action side.
Accent side.
Mm. Katrina, what's your thoughts on it?
I'm really enjoying listening to what all of you are saying. I'm don't know. I forgot. I had no idea how complex this play was.
Yeah.
Again, I'm kind of waiting, and I haven't read it recently, so I don't remember the ending very well. I remember that. I remember so there's a lot of surprises in here that I hadn't anticipated, and I think it's pretty interesting to investigate them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because we've slowed it down
Mm-hmm.
to really look at it in this detail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Has helped, you know, to see all of these, you know, because you just get the big picture of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's really interesting too, because we don't have the answers. If there is an answer, and we don't necessarily have it, but we can discuss it or tease it out or figure it out or argue it out or disagree or agree.
Mhm,
There's no right, there's no wrong.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
all ideas.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think that part of Shakespeare is actually trying to do is to put us in a Hamlet state of mind.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because I'm certainly skeptical about that pirate story. Lo
Yeah.
and behold, I'm the only one that boards the pirate ship, but I'm the Prince of Denmark, and they say, "Oh, jeepers," says Hamlet. "Oh, we won't kill him at all."
Yeah.
Oh
They
yeah,
were
not
The
only
nice
we
one.
want
They just let him go.
Yeah,
they actually cooperate with it.
yeah.
they were merciful thieves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
Hmm. Shall we proceed on to
Yeah.
scene
We may
7?
get some answers.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I would just say too, like, and I don't, this may qualify or deepen, but we first see Laertes when he's giving his sister advice about her courtship to Hamlet.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically suspecting Hamlet of the worst and warning her of it. Now, in the funeral scene, he's basically saying, even if the guy tells you that he loves you, Ophelia, he can't make his own choice because he's Prince of Hamlet. And so he's really suspecting the worst of Hamlet, as opposed to saying, well, okay, this is the situation. Here are the risks you're taking. Sift them and find out what's going on. Turns out Laertes was wrong on that, because at the funeral, spoiler alert, the queen says, "Sweet to the sweet, farewell. I'd hoped thou should have been my Hamlet's wife. I thought thy bride bed to have decked, sweet maid, and not have strewed thy grave." Turns out Laertes is 100% wrong about that. That Hamlet was free to marry the sister, and maybe if he had stopped and checked things out a little bit better, he could have found that out. And instead of giving his sister advice going, essentially, all men are pigs, he could have said, maybe find out a little more here. Anyway, this is my 2 cents.
Mm.
Yeah, because Laertes is not a thinker.
Mm.
He's a reactor
He is, and maybe he judges people by his own sort
by
of.
his own
Mhm,
standards, because
mhm.
that's what his father was concerned about. That's why his father sent the servant to France to kind of keep an eye on Laertes.
Right.
He was afraid he was going to spend too much money and do too much partying and winching.
Right. I'd forgotten about that. That's a very good point.
No, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. Turns
Yeah.
out that Ophelia's a bit of a miracle. She's a really nice person in a family that's not so nice.
Well, and we went through that whole thing. There's no doubt in my mind that Ophelia and Hamlet had a thing going on.
Mm.
That
And
their
yeah,
conversation with each other was very frank and very ribald.
Mhm.
I mean, she was not a sweet young,
Mm.
quote, innocent. She was a full-blooded woman.
She was a
Uh,
Molly Bloom.
she was a Molly Bloom, judging from the level of ribald humor that went on between her and Hamlet. It was very full of sexual innuendo and poking fun at each other.
Yeah.
Um, and I
Yeah.
think part of the reason why she flips out is because she and Hamlet did have a serious relationship. And then Hamlet starts being driven crazy by the death of his father and the marriage of his mother. And Ophelia's very confused by all this, as she rightfully should be.
And then the fact that the person she loves kills her dad kind of puts her over the edge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dave, does she know that? Did she
Yeah.
know it?
Yeah,
I'm wondering the same thing. How did she know?
Did
yeah,
she
how
know?
did she?
Good point. That's a very good point. Okay, I mean, like, I guess if it's being covered up, she maybe wouldn't have known. That's a good point. Thank you. Boy,
Oh God, we've been well, I've missed bits of it, but yeah.
I guess Sylvia, what I needed was somebody with a precise legal mind like yours to go. Actually, would this stand up in court, Dave? And no, it would. Good point, Sylvia. Good point.
I don't know. No,
Right.
I'm just using my own forgetfulness and thinking, have I forgotten what happened there? Oh.
Well, this is actually a part of the phenomena here that I think Shakespeare's taken advantage of the fact that, the human mind can only contain so much detail at any one time, and then
Yeah.
it starts simplifying. There's a strong tendency in all of our minds to start simplifying complexity. And that would be example to assume that part of the thing that sends Ophelia over the edge is the fact that she knew that Hamlet killed her father, which of course we don't have any evidence that she knew that.
Hmm.
I see Dave looking.
I am. I am. I'm
He's
probably
not
on the
that-
scent of probably on the scent of a false trail, Sylvia.
he's like a Rottweiler there. When you give him a sniff of something, he's off. He does it every time.
Yeah, but this is good. I mean, the fact of the matter, I mean, this is to bring in another literary figure. This is why I'm a great fan of Rabelais. Because Rabelais,
Gargantuan Pantagruel, yes.
and it is the basic thesis. One of the major theses in Rabelais is there ain't nobody here but us chickens. Trying to do the best we can at figuring out very complex situations, which, we will always lose control of at some point. So we better have a really good sense of humor. So we don't get on, yeah.
No, Sylvia, I'm scouring the book here, and I have to say, I can find I can find no smoking gun. I think you've got me on this one.
We can find no smoking Ophelia.
No.
Oh dear.
All right. Well, let's see here. Let us go. Actually, I was wrong. We are in. I think we are in Act 4, Scene 7, but quite deep into it, where Laertes and the king, they've had their conversation, and now enters the queen again. Is this not where we stopped? How now, sweet queen?
Are we not
yeah.
on the graveyard?
We finished.
So that's the graveyard is Act
yeah,
5.
right. Drowned.
Yeah.
Too much water. Let's follow Gertrude. How much I had to do. Let's follow Gertrude. How much I had to do to calm his rage. Now fear I this will give it start again. Therefore, let's follow. Oh my God, here we are. Act 5, Scene 1.
A change of pace here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little levity to kind of take us from the darkness we've had to the darkness that's to come.
Well, and the levity is actually quite dark.
A relative
Yeah.
term. A relative
Alas.
term of display.
Alas, poor Yorick.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, let's go. Maybe Sylvia and Katrina.
On the first clown and second clown.
No, sorry, I was back looking. Sorry, where are we?
We're in the
Back
graveyard.
scene one. A churchyard.
Oh,
Enter two clowns with spades and mattock.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Is she to be buried in Christian burial when she willfully seeks her own salvation?
I tell thee she is, and therefore make her grave straight. The crowner hath sat on her, and finds it Christian burial.
How can that be, unless she drowned herself in her own defense?
Why, 'tis found so.
It must be si offendiendo. It cannot be else. For here lies the point. If I drown myself wittingly, it argues an act, and an act has three branches. It is to act, to do, and to perform. Our gal, she drowned herself wittingly.
Nay, but hear you, Goodman Delver.
Give me leave. Here lies the water. Good. Here stands the man. Good. If the man go to this water and drown himself, it is, will he nil, he goes. Mark you that. But if the water comes to him and drown him, he drowns not himself. Or gal. He that is not guilty of his own death shortens not his own life.
But is this law?
Aye, Mary, it is. Crowner's quest law.
Will you have the truth on? If this had not been a gentlewoman, she should have been buried out of Christian burial.
Why there, thou sayest, and the more pity that great folks should have countenance in this world to drown or hang themselves more in their even Christian. Come, my spade. There is no ancient gentleman, but gardeners, ditchers, and grave makers. They hold up Adam's profession.
Was he a gentleman?
Was the first that bore arms.
Why, he had none. Why, he had none.
What? Art a heathen? How dost thou understand the scripture? The scripture says, Adam digged. Could he dig without arms? I put another question to thee. If thou answers me not to the purpose, confess thyself.
Go to.
What is he that builds stronger than either the mason, the shipwright, or the carpenter?
The gallows maker, for that frame outlives 1,000 tenants.
I like thy wit well, in good faith. The gallows does well, but how does it well? It does well to those that do ill. Now, thou dost ill to say the gallows is built stronger than the church. Our gal, the gallows must do well to thee. To come again, come.
Who builds stronger than a mason, a shipwright, or a carpenter?
Aye, tell me that. And on yoke.
Mary, now I can tell.
To it,
Mass, I cannot tell.
cudgel thy brains no more about it, for your dull ass will not mend his pace with beating. And when you are asked questions next, say, a grave maker. The houses he does make last till doomsday. Go, get thee in, and fetch me a sup of liquor.
Huh.
Excellent. Enter Hamlet and Horatio as the clown digs and sings. Oh, which one? Oh, in youth, when I did love, me thought it was very sweet to contract, oh, the time for my behove. Oh, me thought there, was nothing, a meet.
Oh, I guess we need more characters.
We need a
Yes.
Hamlet and we need a Horatio.
Well,
Okay.
Jim, you were a Hamlet in a previous existence. If you take Hamlet, why don't I take Horatio? How's that sound?
Right.
Okay. Has this fellow no feeling of his business that he sings in grave making?
Custom have made it in him a property of easiness.
'Tis even so. The hand of little employment hath the daintier sense.
Song, but age with his stealing steps has clawed me in his clutch and has shipped me till the land as if I'd never been such. Throws up a skull.
That skull had a tongue in it, and could sing once. How the knave jowls it to the ground, as if 'twere Cain's jawbone that did first murder. This might be the pat of a politician, which this ass now o'erreaches one that would circumvent God. Might it not?
It might, my lord.
Or of a courier, which could say, Good morrow, sweet lord. How didst thou, good lord? This might be my lord, such a one, that praised my lord, such a one's horse, when he meant to beg. Might it not?
Aye, my lord.
Why, e'en so, and now my lady's worms chopless, and knocked about the mazzard with a sexton spade. Here's fine revolution, and we had the trick to see. Did these bones cost no more the breeding, but to play at laggots with them? Mine ache to think on it.
A pickaxe and a spade, for and a striding sheet. Oh, a pit of clay for to be made for such a guest to meet.
There's another. Why, may not that be the skull of a lawyer? Where be his cupidities now, his quiltities, his cases, his tenures, and his tricks? Why does he suffer this rude knave now to knock him about the sconce with a dirty shovel, and will not tell him of his action of battery? Huh! This fellow might be in his time a great buyer of land, with his statutes, his reconnaissance, his fines, his double vouchers, his recoveries. Is this the fine of his fines and the recovery of his recoveries, to have his fine paid full of fine dirt? Will his vouchers vouch him no more of his purchases, and doubles one too that length and breadth of a pair of indentures? The very conveyances of his land will scarcely lie in this box, and must the interior himself have no more. Ha!
Not a jot more, my lord.
Is not parchment made of sheepskins?
Aye, my lord, and of calfskins too.
They are sheep and calves which seek out assurance in that. I will speak to this fellow. Whose grave is this, Sarah?
Mine, sir. Oh, a pit of clay for to be made for such a guest to meet.
I think it be thine indeed, for thou liest in it.
Thou liest out it, sir, and therefore 'tis not yours. For my part, I do not lie in it, yet it is mine.
Thou dost lie in it, to be in it, and say it is thine. 'Tis for the dead, not for the quick, therefore thou liest.
'Tis a quick lie, sir. 'Twill away from me again to you.
What man dost thou dig it for?
Oh, for no man, sir.
What woman then?
For none neither.
Who is to be buried in it?
One that was a woman, sir. But rest her soul, she's dead.
How absolute the knave is! We must speak by the card, or equivocation will undo us. By the Lord, Horatio, This 3 years I have took note of it. The age is grown so picked that the toe of the peasant comes so near the heel of the courtier, his galls, his gib. How long hast thou been a grave maker?
Of all the days in this year, I come to that day that our last King Hamlet overcame Fortinbras.
How long is that since?
Oh, can't tell you that. Every fool can tell that. It is the very day that young Hamlet was born. He that is mad was sent to England.
Aye, marry, why was he sent into England?
Why? Because he was mad. Shall recover his wits there, or if do not, it's no great matter there.
Why?
'Twill not be seen in him there. There are men are as mad as he.
How came he mad?
Very strangely, they say.
How strangely?
Faith, even with losing his wits.
Upon what ground?
Why, here in Denmark, I've been a sexton here, man and boy, 30 years.
How long will a man lie in the earth ere he's rot?
Faith, if it's not be rotten before I die, as we have some pocky corpses here a day that will scarce hold a lion in. Will last you some 8 or 9 years. A tanner will last you 9 years.
Why he more than another?
Why, sir? His hide is so tanned with his trade that will keep the water a great while, and your water is a sore decayer of your horse and dead body. Here's a skull that hath lain you in the earth 23 years.
Whose was it?
Horse and mad fellow it was. Whose do you think it was?
Nay, I know not.
A pestilence on him for a mad rogue. I poured a flagon of relish on my head once. This same skull, sir, was Sir Yorick's skull, the king's jester.
This?
Ain't that?
Let me see. Oh, alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio, a fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. He had borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now how abhorred in my imagination it is. My gorge rises at it. Here hung these lips that I have kissed, I know not how oft. Where be your jibes now, your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment that were wont to set the table on a roar? Not one now to mock your own grinning, quite chop and fallen. Now get you to my lady's chamber and tell her, let her paint an inch thick. To this favour she must come. Make her laugh at that. Prithee, Horatio, tell me one thing.
What's that, my lord?
Dost thou think Alexander looked on this fashion in the earth?
E'en so.
And smelt so? Ha.
E'en so, my lord.
To what base uses we may return, Horatio? Why, not my imagination trace the noble dust of Alexander till he find it stopping a bunghole?
'Twere to consider too curiously to consider it so.
No, faith, not a jot, but to follow him thither with modesty enough and likelihood to lead it, as thus Alexander died. Alexander was buried, Alexander returned to dust. The dust is earth, of earth we make him loam, and why if that loam whereto he was converted, might they not stop a beer barrel? Imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away. Or that earth which kept the world in awe should patch a wall to expect the winter's flaw. But soft a while. Here comes the king, the queen, the courtiers.
Okay.
Who
I
is this they
I
follow?
think this is, oh, I see. That still goes on. Sorry.
Okay. And
Go ahead.
maimed rights. This doth betoken the corpse they followed did what desperate hand for do its own life. 'Twas of some estate. Couch we a while and mark.
Okay.
So we
We should,
need to
I think
reassign
maybe
some.
we should stop here.
Okay.
It's actually quite a long piece. It was very good. Thank you very much. for
Pleasure.
everyone to be reading.
Great job, Jim.
Thank you, Dave.
It
You
was
too.
all great. Let me do this. And I suggest that we go back to the beginning of this particular section and encounter the first argument, which is should Ophelia be buried in the churchyard or not?
Mm.
And does anybody have any opinion? Did Ophelia commit suicide?
We don't know. We have no evidence one way or the other.
Right. How did she actually die?
She drowned.
She did drown, but
Yeah, she was. I'm just at that sec. Sylvia's got me so like cased here. So I'm back at that section, Sylvia, pouring over it line by line, and it says, so she was clamoring to hang something. An envious sliver, a branch broke, when down her weedy trophies and herself fell in the weeping brook. So she didn't like jump in the water. She picked these dead men's fingers, and she was clamoring to hang. A branch broke,
Mm-hmm.
and in she went.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and then she went, and
Her
then-
clothes spread wide, and mermaid like a while they bore her up, which time she chanted snatches of old lauds, as one incapable of her own distress, or like a creature native and endued unto that element. But long it could not be, till that her garments heavy with their drink pulled the poor wretch from her melodious lay to muddy death. So she fell in accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
The question is it a suicide if she didn't take herself out of that situation?
well, there's a little subtle detail in there.
Is go.
Pray tell, Duncan.
She wasn't of sound
Well-
mind, is that it, Duncan?
Excuse me?
She
No,
wasn't
but-
of sound mind, is that it?
I actually think that after she fell, of course, she was surprised when she fell, but when her clothes spread and she was floating, that she actually found that to be a very delightful state. She was in water. She was looking at vegetation. She did not realize that in time her clothes would become saturated and then they would pull her down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the side of no, she did not commit suicide.
Death by misadventure, not suicide.
Mm.
Death by misadventure.
And I think there's an absence of intent here.
Yeah.
Intent to
agree.
kill herself. Were they?
Yeah, the first action when we see her, I think Dave pointed out that she was collecting
Mm-hmm.
flowers or
Flowers.
branches or stuff. And, a branch broke, she lost her balance, and then she went,
Mm.
which is really interesting. And what I mean by really interesting is I would say that I must have known something about Hamlet by the time I was 16 or 17. And so for the last 60 years, I thought she committed suicide.
I have too. That's the
Mm.
way yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe the new phraseology is to say die by suicide
Yes.
rather than commit, because you commit maybe a sin or you commit a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, but this is really interesting. The clown's argument over this.
Yeah. I think it's
particular
I just think it's beautiful. Um,
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's extremely interesting.
Thank you, Dave, for that.
Okay, if
Yeah.
you look in the chat, I did a quick
Yeah.
Google search for death by misadventure. I don't know if that adds to the discussion or if it's a distraction.
We actually,
Another,
we
It
actually do
adds.
not know whether she was that she knew she was taking a risk.
Right.
Yeah, she was down there by the water, reaching
Down there
up,
by the water. Yeah,
these
no,
big
people
heavy
do.
clothes on.
Yeah. But
And
did she
she,
realize all that? I mean, it's
mm-hmm,
amazing the number of deaths that happen, which are kind of due to stupidity rather than intent,
mm-hmm.
mhm, mhm,
or
And
a misunderstanding of the dangers involved.
mhm.
she was mad.
Yeah.
mm,
Thanks, Katrina. That. There have been pains taken to point that out in the play.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We can at least she's emotionally upset. Yeah.
You know what, Duncan? I'm gonna push you on that a little bit.
Good. Push me, push me.
I think it's beyond being emotionally upset. I think it's kind of pushed her off the edge. You know, from what we've seen in the previous scenes. Laertes is emotionally upset. But I think there's an added punch to what's happened to Ophelia.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I don't disagree with you about that at all. As I said before, and at least in my vision of this whole thing, she and Hamlet had a serious thing going on.
Yeah.
You know, it was not your standard prince taking advantage of a vassal's daughter's um, innocence. But because of, and I think that that's one of the reasons that she became more emotionally upset and, we could say crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, they went from having a good relationship with lots of teasing and some understandings where they were a little unique in their world. They had formed a kind of bubble around themselves. And then as Hamlet, dissolves into this concern about his father's death and his mother's marriage, and he starts acting crazy, and Ophelia's world is disintegrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then Hamlet becomes downright mean to her
Does.
Mm-hmm.
and then kills her father. But she may or may not know that. She
Okay,
just
okay. I'm coming back to you, Sylvia. I take your point. You've rested your case. It stands. But we can at the very least say that after her father dies, the guy she once loved gets bustled out of the country very quickly. It's another blow.
yeah, or absolutely. I mean, I'm still looking at this thing about her death. I mean, she's making a garland and she's collecting all the materials.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
and Hamlet very cleverly puts in this clambering to hang, but and so there's this really, he puts in this strange phrase, but she's clambering. I think she overreaches and because then in the next line they talk about her weedy trophies, and then she falls into so she's overreached and she's fallen in, I think.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
So
Yeah.
it's another one that we have no answer to.
Right.
Yeah.
The one question is somebody clearly saw this happen. Why didn't that person fish her out?
Oh, why you think that because of the description of what
Yeah,
happened?
she
Yeah.
floated for a while and then
Yeah, and she was
eventually she sank.
reaching and
Like
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
put a pole out for her to
Yeah.
That is
That's a-
not the eye of the universe just observing and watching this happen.
exactly.
describing
well,
it?
well, Gertrude seems to know exactly what happened to her because she's
Yeah.
telling us.
That's,
So how does
Yeah,
does
that is
Gertrude
true.
was there?
There's a willow grove where there is a willow grows aslant a brook that shows his hoar leaves in the glassy stream. There with fantastic garlands did she come of crow flowers, nettles, daisies, long purples, that liberal shepherds give a grosser name. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Well, if we really wanted to be morbid, maybe the observer was the queen.
Well, that's
Yeah.
it. Exactly.
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah.
And if we really wanted to be Freudian, we could say that because of the opposite of um,
Oedipus
the
complex.
desire of the son for the mother, that there's the mother's son, the mother's desire for the son, who did not mind seeing her competition drowned.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Except, as Sylvia would say, the Queen says some things at the funeral which indicate some real regret for the death. Sweets to the sweet. I
Mhm.
had hoped to strew your bridal bed with these, but instead it's your funeral bed. Although I guess we would have to take that at face value.
Mm.
Exactly.
Let me
She
introduce you
might be
to.
just covering her own ass there.
Okay.
Well, in Japan, they have some very useful terms, and the one term is called tatemai, and basically it means a front.
Right.
So it's like the facade of a building, or and then the complementary word is called honne, and honne means the real inside. So the idea is that a lot of people they present themselves to the world as tatemai, which is a false front.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I'm just being goofy here, but since in scene 8, there's a lot of humor, but man, is it dark humor.
Mm.
It's really seriously dark stuff.
Do you mean in the graveyard or wherever
Yeah.
they are?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nitty gritty. That's putting a smile on on some really dark stuff, which is very Rabelaisian. That's what Rabelais did. He would put a lot of humor into stuff
Mm.
that was not that most people would not consider pleasant. So, but
So
yeah, we
yeah,
do have the Queen making a pretty detailed report here.
but you know what? I when Ophelia was doing all that singing and all that stuff, and then the king said to the queen, I assume, follow her close, give her good wash. Follow her close, give her
Very
good
good, Sylvia.
you. No, I don't know who he's saying. Is the queen there? I don't know. Oh, yeah, she is. Yeah. The
Yeah, he's
queen,
telling. I think well, I thought he was saying that to the Queen.
he's telling her to follow her, and
Mhm.
then he gives her, yeah, and he's talking to her. Okay. Sorry, we're just going backwards.
Well, that's okay. No. This play is not a linear play, really. It
And
is.
then there's
It
stuff
is.
about where the king is trying to explain why Ophelia is like she is. All the things her father felt, your son gone, and he's given this very sympathetic overview
He's
of
talking
what.
to Laertes, right? He's talking to Laertes.
No, he's talking to the queen, I think.
Oh, just to Gertrude, is that okay?
And this is just before, well, it's before Laertes comes.
Is it Sylvia? Are you on the follow her close, give her good watch, I pray you?
Yeah. And then he he's got another soliloquy, or no, he's talking. No, he's talking to Gertrude.
Yes, and the queen stays though. She doesn't see my book has got in square brackets, meaning an editor has put this in. It's not in the original. It says exit Horatio.
Yeah, yeah.
So that some editors decide it's Horatio because the queen sticks around
Yes. Yeah, because she's there.
to try to protect the well, actually it turns out to protect the queen or the king from Laertes.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, God, we're getting good at this stuff.
Mm.
So
I would just say while people are looking here, like my sense is that we love this play because there are lots of details. The strength and I guess the shortcoming is the amount of details. I think it's why we like Joyce too, why we like Ulysses, is because there are just so many details, cast of thousands, and that sort of thing. And I think that that this is why this play rewards us as well. It's the same thing. There are a lot of plates in the air that we have to keep juggling.
yeah.
Yeah, and like Joyce, it is confronting us with the fact that the world is detailed and the world is complex, and that there will always be multiple interpretations, some which are more likely than others, but there basically is no one interpretation that will cover all the bases. And I think um, that is an excellent lesson if the purpose of being alive is to understand things in a sympathetic and non-judgmental manner. This is like excellent training.
Duncan, can you repeat that? That was great what you just said.
If the purpose of life is to learn how to, I'm probably not repeating the same thing,
Right.
is to look at reality in a non-judgmental manner and try to understand all the complexity, that we end up realizing that we cannot come up with a single explanation.
And what we come up with is individual. It's from each mind and each experience and each background. And so there's there may be one truth, but nobody knows what it is.
In the Dantean thing, that one truth is beyond time and space. That's the Dantean vision. By the time you get to Paradiso, deep into Paradiso, Dante is having a lot of trouble communicating what's going on because he's basically using words to say that the truth is beyond words and concepts.
And you know what I've
Well, I think apart from, of course, the Holy Roman Catholic and Apostolic Church, particularly the Irish Church, everyone has their own lens. Like, for example, Freud came up with this idea of the unconscious and all that. The next thing, Jung takes it a step further and he talks about the collective unconscious. So he has his own different slant on it. And then somebody else said, oh, no, shit, we're too much of this unconscious stuff. Let's go back to CBT. It's how you think about things. So they all have their own different lens. And that's basically it, really. As you said, Duncan, there's no one single explanation.
Yeah, there's no one single explanation. And that, at least from my point of view, the purpose of learning how to look through a multiplicity of lenses is to keep one particular lens from taking over.
Yes.
this is I'm exposing a little bit of a prejudice of mine, but the prejudice is that anybody who comes up with a system which they think is the system, the lens that shows the truth, is heading for disaster eventually.
Yep. And
you
that's
know,
what
And
that's actually, Duncan, that's exactly what happened in Ireland back in the day, say in and around, say, take 1979, when Pope John Paul came to Ireland. I think I'm open to correction on this. I think they estimate, Jesus, was nearly about 1 million people, I think, converged in Dublin. Now, with all the revelation of scandals, the churches they're half empty, probably even just quarter full.
mm-hmm,
We went from one extreme to
Mhm.
another.
mm-hmm,
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once again, my prejudice is that we are here to, this will sound a little sentimental, but so it goes. We're here to develop our hearts.
Yeah, that's
That,
good.
that we're here to learn to have sympathy and understanding of ourselves and of other people.
mm. And I noticed something here that the clowns, they're the rustics, they're the country. Those are country folk. They're not clowns, which
Mhm.
I feel happier about.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, is this the first time? I mean, I don't know enough about Shakespeare. Is this the first time that Shakespeare did an analysis of suicide? Because he's got a lot of suicides um, in his plays.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And
Me-
here, I mean, he does help us a little bit by saying, did she do it in defense? You know, did she do it in her own defense? So maybe that's one of the explanations. I don't know.
Yeah. This is
A bit-
actually a rather good argument between these clowns, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, really
Mhm.
like, you know, because in Ireland, I don't know about in America and in Canada. If you died by suicide, to take Jim's point, you couldn't be buried in consecrated ground, you know, which was really
Mhm.
just for families.
Right,
Mm.
right.
Yeah.
Even unbaptized babies couldn't be buried on consecrated ground. There are
Right.
such things in Ireland. I think, is it killeens they call them? You might see a field, there might be all these stones in them, and what they are is the headstones of the unbaptized children where they're buried.
Children, right.
Wow.
And they went to limbo.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
And I think limbo has now gone to limbo itself.
Yes, Jim, that's my understanding as well.
Limbo is in limbo. We are upon the hour.
Wow.
And my suggestion is that when we meet next time, that we actually reread Act 5, Scene 1 again.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
And
good.
I think the idea of reading in parts worked really well.
yes,
Yes.
I think it is. I think because it's quite distracting given the commentary, you know, when you say exit and all the rest, that
Mhm.
there distracts it. Because we have it in front of us. So we know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And yeah, I think okay. I know. I think it's great. And it's great that back and forward trying to find things.
Yes.
Thanks to if he's always found. You're You're our forensics man.
A bit obsessive, aren't I?
No, I think it's great just trying to find.
Well, yeah, I think it's great too, because
Yeah.
in actual fact, this is not a strictly linear thing. This is like in Joyce, for those of us who read Joyce, it's the same thing. You sometimes have stuff in back that's informing what we're reading in times, and it's really multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
And
And-
on that point, I know that we need to bid adieu to each other and begin our weekend, but I would say on that point, I think there's not only am I enjoying the community, but I'm enjoying that the community is a Shakespearean and a Joycean community, because there's some cross-pollination that's happening, and I find that really helpful.
Yeah, me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Very informative.
Yeah.
And opening of the mind,
Yeah.
which is wonderful.
Which I think is really what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
And I must get Joe, Katrina, you don't know Joe Kenny, but
Yeah.
I must. Do
No,
you
I
know-
know him from Joyce reading from, what's the book? Ulysses.
For Thursdays, yeah.
Joe
you
is very, very knowledgeable about Shakespeare.
No,
Oh,
no,
is
but
he
he,
about Shakespeare too?
Yeah.
yeah, no, but he was. Do you know how? You know that chapter where Joyce makes lots of references to Shakespeare,
Yep.
and Joe
Mhm.
Joe was saying that was really a slant at the English and at Shakespeare. Well, I must get him to tell us. Do you remember what Joe said about that?
Don't remember.
No.
Are you, Katrina? Are you in our Shakespeare? Yeah. No, in our
Yeah,
Joyce.
Ulysses and the Monday.
Oh, right. So we're all in. No, not on Monday. On
Talk
Thursday.
about the Ulysses, yeah, the Thursday one with Ulysses.
Monday, Thursday, and Friday is mine, are my days.
Yeah. Sylvia, if you can get Joe to join us, that would be wonderful.
Oh, no, I don't know if Joe. No, but I'm just saying that does anybody remember what he said about, the references to Shakespeare? They weren't quite what they seemed. It was.
Oh, okay.
He said,
Well,
yeah, I've got it copied down here. He said, actually, that it was an inaccurate quotation. Just a sec. Hamlet, I am thy father's ghost.
Oh, yes, okay.
No, sorry. It says, I got my glasses on now. Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit. And then it should be, I am thy father's spirit. Okay, yeah, Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain time to walk the earth. And the actual quotation from the play is, Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain time to walk the night.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one that says, Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit, and apparently all that this play says is, I am thy father's spirit. So Joyce is clearly working from memory, and he's close, but he's not getting it. Like Joe's point was, he didn't get it completely accurate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was on purpose, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've always wondered about that, Katrina.
He's
John's
ripping
mistake
on
or
those.
Joyce's? I've always wondered about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't occur to me to think that Joyce couldn't have gotten that right if he wanted to.
Okay, fair enough.
He would write something in that was completely wrong,
If
unless.
yes, he could have done it all accurately if that was his intent. So a question worth considering sometime is, okay, he didn't get it right. What was his intention of not
Yeah.
getting it right?
Mm-hmm. But I also thought that Joe was suggesting that Joyce wasn't necessarily applauding Shakespeare. I think there was he made some comment. I must ask him what exactly that was in relation to.
And if you can remember when we had that discussion, we might have a video of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
True. Or,
Yeah.
it's
So
possible.
I can probably go through. I mean, that's a Scylla and Charybdis section. I can go through my collection of videos and see what videos I have on Scylla and Charybdis and review those.
Yeah. It's
Of course, all of us could do that.
Mhm.
yeah.
Any video that I have is open to everyone else as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, now it is 3:06. I know it's 3:06.
We-
And
we have to say
we
that
should end the party before we're totally exhausted. So we will have a strong desire to return next week.
Oh, that
Yes.
was really, really good. Thank
This
you,
has been
everyone.
great.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.